Hey guys, RanterInShades here, exercising my First Amendment rights vlog style. Now, if there's anything that I've learned from Mark Muse in recent years, it would be this.
Just because you like a song doesn't mean you couldn't criticize it.
This is something that I've taken to heart for the longest time, and I've applied to many things. I'm a firm believer that if you really are a fan of someone or something, you should be able to criticize it and point out any flaws that you see. The older and more mature we get, the more we realize that nobody's perfect. Everyone has their flaws, that's what makes them human. The same can be said about things that aren't human. Everything has its flaws. That's the point I really want to drive in this video. Don't be a blind fan and be afraid to criticize and point out any flaws you see. Like I said in the word analysis video about the word fantard, there's a difference between being a fan and being a dick rider. If you're a fan of someone, you don't have to be a dick rider and be under this impression that they can do no wrong. Call them out if you have to and point out any flaws you see, maybe even disagree with them on something. I know I'm a big fan of Muse, but there have been times where I have disagreed with him on something. Here's an example of one thing I disagree with him on.
Kiss fucking sucks ass!
I'm a big fan of Kiss, and I have no problem disagreeing with Muse's opinion here. I personally think it's really healthy to be able to disagree with someone or something you like and be able to point out their flaws. That way, you're more rational of a fan. Even the best of friends have their disagreements. You know, they don't need to just agree on everything in order to consider each other best friends. They can, you know, have their arguments, their disagreements. That's part of, you know, being social, I guess. Like me and Nick Malazzo, well, yeah, we're pretty much best friends on this site. Even we have our little disagreements. I'm a fan of Poison. He really isn't. Yet, you know, we don't just, you know, bombard each other with such anger and fury. We still get along. There have been many times I've disagreed with other YouTubers I like, many flaws I pointed out in certain bands, actors, etc. I can't list them all, but you get what I mean. In the case of music, I've mentioned how I don't really care for Metallica's albums after and Justice for All. Just because you're a fan of a band doesn't mean you have to like everything they do. Every band has their weak points, and you as the listener have the freedom to point them out. You as the fan have the freedom to criticize, so take advantage of that opportunity. Like on my video, Can a Non-Musician Criticize a Musician? You guys showed me that you can disagree with me and give me criticism, and I do thank you for that criticism, especially Burn Coalition for your video. This at least applies to the people that didn't unsubscribe after that video. I'm not going to delete that video, because there are some points in that video I do think are valid, but I welcome and encourage you as a follower of mine to give me some criticism if I do or say something that warrants it. I'm not perfect, and I deserve criticism just as much as someone like Undertaker Freak 1127, for example. Now, when I say criticize something you like, I don't mean be a straight-up asshole about it. It's perfectly fine to criticize something you like, but be civil. Say something like, hey man, I gotta disagree with XYZ because XYZ. I still like you, but I gotta disagree here. That's perfectly normal. And in the case of YouTube, unsubscribing due to one little disagreement or one little flaw you see in them is just reacting irrationally. Just because you disagree with one thing doesn't mean you have to leave for good. I disagree with PM Rants on how he thinks deathcore isn't music, but I'm still subscribed to him. For me to unsubscribe to someone, aside from just general boredom with their content, which happens quite rarely, it would have to be for a really personal reason. They would have to say something like,
"Hey Shades, you're a piece of shit human being with a piss poor taste in music." I'm just kidding.
So what have we learned today, kids? Don't be blinded by your love for a person, place, or thing. Take some time to realize that your favorite band, favorite actor, movie, show, YouTuber, whatever, isn't all that. Give them some criticism every once in a while. Disagree with them once in a while. Because whether you realize it or not, they deserve it just as much as anybody else. And liking them doesn't excuse you from taking advantage of the freedom you have as a fan and observer to criticize or disagree. I'm Shades, and I'll see you next time. I'm not kidding.